Yep, you read the title correctly. I've bought a high mileage E46 M3, but this one has got an SMG gearbox. Now you probably watched them cinematics back and thought, that's actually a proper nice car. And do you know what? You're right, it is a proper nice car. So before we get on with talking about this car, let me just quickly show you, because I'm trying to update people, update you lot with cars as videos unfold. So the Integra Type R, which I bought recently, this is the facelift car, so the pre-facelift car sold straight away. I then bought this facelift one, and it needed the back bumper painting. Sorry if there's wind noise, by the way, that's a pain, that is. It's a very windy day. Yeah, the bumper needed painting, the Type R stickers needed replacing, the wheels needed refurbing, and the whole car just needed a good old clean and a polish, and it is now done. So if you look at it from that angle there, it looks absolutely stunning. So yeah, that car will now go back up for sale, but I just wanted to update you to show you that it's all been done, progress is happening. The S4, the one that, the wing, oh yeah, we won't talk about the wings, that's gonna stress Jason out, but we took the wheels off an A6 that we've got in stock. There's an A6 somewhere, oh it's over there, that A6 in that far corner. We swapped the wheels over because S4s did actually come with them wheels, and I think that looks a bit more correct with them wheels on it. Alright, so that's it. I think S3, that's just come in. I think I mentioned that in the previous video, but yeah, E46 M3. Well, obviously we're doing a lot of E46 M3 content at the minute. Haven't had an SMG gearbox car on my channel for bloody ages, and I actually really like the SMG gearbox, and I'm going to explain why when we go out for a drive in a sec. But this car, mileage, let's quickly talk about the mileage, yeah, because you've looked at it, you thought it's a nice car. In my opinion, this is quite high mileage, right? So two big factors is the fact that that gear stick there is attached to an SMG gearbox, which we already know, and the second big factor is it's done 146,000 miles. Now that would definitely be a problem. If this car had never had no maintenance, the gearbox probably wouldn't still be in the car, right? But we're going to talk about what maintenance it's had in a sec, but let's quickly have a little wander around the outsides. Bodywork's lovely, could definitely do with a good old mop and detail. The paint's gone a bit dull in places, but overall it looks like and it appears a really nice car. It's a non-sunroof car, which a lot of people prefer. I love a sunroof personally, but apparently they had about 40 kilos extra weight. Don't know if that would bother me, but you know, with or without, I don't know, it's just personal preference. The wheels have been refurbed correctly, they've been diamond cut, it's got a brand new set of tyres as well, the Hankook tyres, so that all looks really nice. Yeah, they look really fresh. Externally, what else can I talk about externally? So it is a pre-facelift car, 2003, it's in steel grey. Steel grey, I think, was only available on the pre-facelift cars. Silver grey was the more popular colour, which came on like the CSLs. That's a more paler shade of grey. This is like a darker shade of grey. I actually really like this colour. It's quite a rare colour to see in an M3, and it does definitely suit the car. Now, let's hop inside quick. Something else, by the way, and I'm going to talk about the amount of work this car's had done. It's actually crazy how much money's been spent on this car. It's unbelievable. But it's got an Alcantara wheel. That's obviously been retrimmed. Nice bit of Alcantara around the gear knob there. That looks nice. The Alpine stereo, in my opinion, doesn't look like it doesn't look right, but it's a really good stereo. It didn't come with Harman Kardon, but all of the speakers have been upgraded to Alpine speakers, so the sound quality is amazing. And whilst we're on the subject of sound quality, in the boot, that's my camera bag. In the boot, we've got a JO Audio sub and amp. It's a tiny little sub. Like, it's actually ridiculously small, but it does a great job of giving us a little bit of bass. It ain't gonna wake people up at night, but it does definitely give it a good crisp sound quality. Spec wise, it's got heated seats, cup holders, look at that. Yeah, in my touring build, I've got to get cup holders. That looks like it's been added later on, so it wasn't a spec specced at factory because it looks cleaner than the rest of the car, but that's a nice thing. And then that bit of paper over there, let me just quickly talk to you about that bit of paper, one sec. In fact, before we talk about that bit of paper, look, if you notice, a manual car doesn't actually have this additional screen here. That additional screen there is all linked to the SMG gearbox, tells you what gear you're in and stuff, and it links to this ferocity button switch as well. So I'll show you that in a sec when we go for a drive, all right? Yeah, so this bit of paper, so M3s, E46 M3s have got a lot of common faults. That's my phone, one second. Sorry, quick phone call. So, right, the stuff that this car has had, yeah, so M3s have got a lot of common faults, and basically SMG gearboxes, they've got their problems. Subframes are another issue with E46 M3s. Suspension, another a common fault with E46 M3s. The Vanos is another common fault with E46 M3s. And look, let's just reel off this list. So, things that this has had done. The rear subframe has been repaired and reinforced by TI Motorsport, never heard of them. It's been fully polybushed. Replacement front and rear shock absorbers with top mounts, rear springs replaced, new discs and pads. Discs and pads, again, they're another common thing. Stock brakes on M3s are terrible in my opinion, but they've been replaced with nice new ones. Goodrich brake lines with BMW 4-dot brake fluid. I suppose that's quite a standard maintenance thing. New diff, it's had a new bloody diff. The new tyres, refurbed wheels. So let me just quickly slot something in here. When I got the call for this car, I wasn't keen to buy it, if I'm honest with you. I thought 146,000 miles, SMG gearbox, although I am quite keen to buy an SMG gearbox car because I want to kind of prove a bit of a point today with this gearbox. I wasn't keen on it, and the guy was like, trust me mate, this is a proper nice car. And by the way, the guy who follows me on YouTube, he's definitely going to watch this video, so shout out to him. But moving on to the list, SMG pump with Burkhardt Engineering hydraulic fluid, royal purple gearbox oil, rod bearings replaced in the engine by BMS in Surrey. The Vanos has been rebuilt by Mr. Vanos himself, and it's also got the CSL engine and gearbox remap by Evolve Automotive, along with the Venturi intake. Now, when I was faced with this car, I thought, do you know what, to be fair, this is the maintenance and the work that this car has had done is unreal. It's exceptional. They're all things that you want to do if you buy an M3, but to buy one and then spend all that money doing it, it's going to cost you a bloody fortune, yeah? So although, yeah, this has got high mileage, and high mileage, every car in the world has got a ceiling value, and that kind of mileage has definitely got a ceiling value on the market. To try and get it to demand beyond that is difficult, but I'm going to demand beyond that because of the amount of work this has had done. It's all money, it all costs bloody money, so we'll see, yeah? If it doesn't sell, what I'll do is I'll take everything out, like the Venturi, the stereo, sell it all separately, and obviously things like the subframe and the Vanos and stuff like that, that will stay. But yeah, it's always hard buying cars that have been modified and paying a high premium for all the modifications, but this car has had so much done to it that I thought, you know what, I would normally rule that car out, but there is absolutely no way in this circumstance I'm going to rule that car out. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the camera set up as normal, go for a drive, and I want to talk to you a bit about this SMG gearbox, alright? This is it then. It's been a while since I drove one of these. That's all alright, that's alright. So SMG, when you park the car up and switch the engine off, you've got to put it in a gear before you can switch the engine off. And then when you want to start the engine, you've got to put it in gear 0, which is obviously neutral. And then you can start the engine, alright? So we're currently sat in gear 0. Let me just show you a shot actually of the manual gearbox car, the dials on that, and you'll see at the bottom it's just a slightly different layout at the bottom there. So on the SMG you've got, like I said, the little display that shows you what gear you're in. So currently in gear 0, which is obviously neutral, and when you click it to the right, that puts it into gear 1, currently in automatic mode, which isn't that great. I'll explain why in a sec, and we'll just begin driving, obviously with my seatbelt on, and we'll hit the road, right? let me just quickly talk about the spec on this car, right? So it does actually have factory sat nav, although that's not in the car at the minute. I've got that back in the office. But this unit, although it's a nice unit, I prefer the look of the original unit. But yeah, it's spec'd up with sat nav, heated seats, again, nice option. And another one is, I don't know if you can see it in the camera there, is the rear blind. Bit of a pointless thing, but it's quite cool to see it, isn't it? So I'll just press that back down. So I mentioned that as you start the car, it goes into auto mode, right? And actually, like general driving, the automatic mode is quite good. Quite good. It ain't perfect, right? And the downfall of the automatic mode is it's a bit unpredictable. Like it's just gone up to 5th gear then, that's probably quite correct. And it's all gauged like a normal automatic gearbox with how much throttle you're giving the car, yeah? What percentage of throttle you're using. So if you go to 100%, it will hang the gears out for longer. There you go, it's dropped to 2 gears there, from 4th down to 2nd. And that's because I've given it 100% throttle and told the car that I want to use the full range of 2nd gear, right? So it will go the whole way as well. It won't change until you're at the rev limiter, right? Which is great. But the downfall with the automatic mode is like when you get to a roundabout, say you're approaching a roundabout in 3rd gear and you're slowing down, and then you decide you want to continue on your journey through that roundabout, exactly what I'm about to do now. It's in 3rd gear, you put your foot down, it has just dropped there. It's made me look silly, but sometimes it won't pick the gear that you want it to pick, and therefore you've got a lack of power. It's a bit of a pain in the arse. So what you do, I suppose, out of choice then, is you can flick the gearbox, click it to the right. That now puts it into manual mode, right? So we're now in manual mode. Now you've got 2 options when you're in manual mode. You can either use the paddles behind the steering wheel to change gear, which is what I do with every car I drive that has like this style of gearbox. Yeah, right ones to go up, left ones to go down. That's pretty good, right? But for some strange reason, I've mentioned this in previous videos, what I find more comfortable is I use the gear stick to drop it, to change gear. So if I want to drop it there, click it up to go down, which sounds backwards, up to go down, and then down to go up a gear using the gear stick down here. And that, for me, like when you're in that scenario, when you're approaching a roundabout or a junction, drop it like that, easy as that, and you've got the gear you want. And then when you want to change gear, when you're driving, keep your foot flat on the pedal, don't have to take your foot off the pedal, and click the shifter or the gear stick in the direction that you want it to change gear, and it will just change for you. And surprisingly, this is a single clutch gearbox, by the way, yeah? Single clutch means it ain't nowhere near as quick as a dual clutch gearbox. It's essentially a manual gearbox without a left pedal. We've got 2 pedals down here. It just saves you from doing the clutch, and it probably does just as good a job of changing gear as you do. But because you expect that it's an automatic gearbox, you expect it should be seamless as it goes through the gears. It's a little bit disappointing, but if you give it its due and understand what it's actually doing for you, it's bloody brilliant. So through the gears, look, foot flat on the pedal, you'll notice through the camera there's a tiny pause between the gears. You can speed that up using this little button here. That's the ferocity button. It makes, I just use the paddle there to change gear. It makes the gearbox more ferocious, right? And it definitely does. 3rd gear, it's brilliant. Bloody brilliant. So if you've got an SMG gearbox, or if you've never driven in a car with an SMG gearbox, jump in it and drive it using the bloody gear stick, and I think you'll get out of it and think that's actually alright. Now this car has had the SMG pump change, which again is a common fault. Expect to do that. I can't remember off the top of my head what it costs you to do it. I reckon about 400 quid. I guess that's a real rough guess. But as you pull away, the clutch engages perfectly. The gearbox in this car is absolutely on point. And you know what? It's a nice thing to drive. And it's quite nice not having a clutch pedal. Something else I want to quickly say is single clutch gearboxes, that was kind of the journey onto a dual clutch gearbox. So everything had manual gearbox, everything back in the day had a manual gearbox. Automatic gearboxes were a thing, but they were never that great. They were very heavy, they were unreliable, and they were very expensive to repair. So the whole single clutch thing come about in about this sort of era, early 2000s, And some great cars that have got single clutch gearboxes are a Ferrari 360, I've had one of them, gearbox works brilliantly. A 599 GTO, they've got a single clutch gearbox. And the best one, which will reassure you that single clutch gearboxes are actually alright. Approaching a gearbox, just dropped it to first. Approaching a junction, just dropped it to first. Got the word gearbox in my mind. Using the gear stick, away we go. Flick it up. We're in the highest setting. Look, it's flicking through gears, no problem. But the other car, which is amazing, it's got a single clutch gearbox, is a Lamborghini Aventador, right? All great cars, all got single clutch gearboxes. So have a bit of forgiveness for these gearboxes. They're pretty good, all right? So don't be too harsh on them. So there's third gear. It even rev matches as you drop the gear. Did you notice that then? So if I go up to fifth, I gently hold on the throttle. This video might be quite a long video, by the way, because I'm quite passionate about E46 M3s and I am quite into the SMG gearbox. But hover on the throttle, drop it, little tiny rev. Listen again. It just gives it a little blip as it drops the gears, which is nice, man. It's character, isn't it? And for the time, for the era of this car, I think it's well impressive. I think it's wicked. CSLs only came with an SMG gearbox. That says quite a lot. That is like the top of the range M3 of its time, and they decided not to put a manual gearbox in. They wanted to put an SMG gearbox in. This gear knob, I want to point out as well, that is an attractive gear knob. I know that's quite like pointless or a stupid thing to say, but as you get into a manual gearbox car, the manual gear stick it ain't a bad looking thing, but it definitely ain't as attractive a gear knob as that SMG gear knob is, I don't think. So let's have a little listen to the little rev match there. Such a good car, man. So something else, you put it in sports mode, throttle response strengthens up a little bit, so you've got a bit more of a fiery throttle response, and you can then, if you turn the traction control off, oh, that's the wrong button there, it then gives you another mode on the ferocity, which you can go up into, and you then got a super ferocious gearbox, no traction control. The gears are on point. It's biting, it's pulling, it's doing everything it should, absolutely perfectly, and it's brilliant. It's also got launch control, which obviously a manual gearbox car wouldn't have, and I am not going to do launch control in this car, but it's actually one of the simplest launch control systems I think I've ever used in my life. All you have to do is stop the car, don't hold your foot on the brake, just sit there on idle, right, and just flat the throttle pedal. Here's a video of me doing that about 10 years ago. Traction control off, rapid speed, do a little 0 to 60, so there's 60 there. Like you can see from my face in that video, I'm actually shocked. I think that's the first time I ever launched an E46 M3. And something else I want to quickly point out with this car before I go is, after we bought it, we looked in all the paperwork. It's got an absolute shed load of invoices and history with it. We noticed an invoice, a sales receipt within that paperwork that was actually one of our own sales receipts back in the day when me and Leon had a place called Car Studio in, thank you darling, Car Studio in Markyate. This was actually a car that we had in stock that we sold on ourselves, and that was back in 2011. So it's quite nice to say that this car, I sold it nearly 10 years ago and I got it back in stock again today. So yeah, I'm well chuffed with it. High mileage, definitely, but it's as good as they get. Let me know what you would do. Would you rather buy a lower mileage car and spend, I suppose it depends on your budget. That's a bit of a difficult question to ask, isn't it? Let's assume for the same budget you could get a car that needs all of that work doing, but the car's got 110,000 miles, yeah? Would you rather have this car with 146,000 miles with all that stuff done, and an idea on cost would be anywhere between £6,000 to £8,000, I guess? Or would you rather have a car of 110,000 miles and do it all yourself? There's an interesting pointer. I don't know personally, I really don't know, but it's nice to see a car that's been well maintained. So I'm, let me just look at the time on that. Can't even see the time because the lens is in the way, but I've been talking too much. I'm going to end it here. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did like the video, hit like. If you're new to my channel, hit subscribe for a new video every Wednesday and Sunday at 6 o'clock. If you're on Instagram, give me a follow on Instagram as well, at Calvin's Car Diary, and I'll see you in my next video, alright? See ya. In the next episode of Diary of a Car Trader, remember my £100 330D project car? I attempt my first drive in it, and I take it to VRS so they can begin the first stage of modifying it.